Welcome to the What's Up With That
What's up with that
podcast. Episode 2, tonight's topic is power standards. This summer, Andy and I spent a lot of time looking at all of the standards that all middle school students are expected to master by the time that they leave middle school. This included looking at all the Common Core state standards, Next Generation Science standards, the Wisconsin Model Academics for Social Studies standards, the National Education Technology Standards, and Standards for the 21st Century Learner through the American Association of School Librarians. That's a lot of standards. So we looked at all of those standards and we condensed them into about 70 of what we call our Arctic Zone power standards. So we've got about 8 to 15 power standards in the following content areas. We have English Language Arts, Math Practice power standards, our science standards, social studies standards, technology standards, and our essential skills power standards. All of these are compiled into both a hard copy and a digital copy, Google Sheet that all students have in their Google Drive.
Students use these standards throughout their project work and flex work. In the very first phase of our quarter projects, and what a lot of students have chosen for their passion projects, what we call the L phase of the launch cycle, which is look, listen, and learn, students design a project rationale, and they look at what some of the end products will be. And then we talk about the different power standards that could relate to that. So here's an example of next quarter's quarter project for 6th and 7th graders, which is a National Geographic challenge related to waterways and plastic pollution. But as you can see here, all these ELA, science, social studies, and tech standards are all ones that students will work with or could work with as part of their quarter one project. In order to access or work on some of those, they'll simply work on them through different research and steps or small group meetings with an advisor throughout the project. But a lot of the times they will go into our online learning classroom Canvas, and they will walk through a power standard module. So they go into a course, and a bunch of power standard modules will pop up. They'll click on the module based on the one that they're working on, and they'll walk through a series of assignments or online discussions related to that. In the basic knowledge, they just do some learning through watching videos or reading articles or websites, and they submit a one paragraph text entry that then is assessed on a mastery level by us to see where they're at. They then put that basic knowledge into practice by some choice activities. At the end of the choice activities, they complete a advisor checkpoint where they check and assess themselves on their mastery level of that power standard, and then meet with one of us to talk about that. And then finally, they participate in a online discussion where they explain what they learned about that power standard, and probably the most important part, how they're going to apply it to their current project that they're working on. The review and second attempt is if they come back to this power standard in a different project, then they would do a review of the knowledge and then apply it to that current project.
Now, Andy touched on the assessment process through all of that. So when they're walking through a power standard module, that text entry that they submit, their advisor check-in, and the discussion board that they participate in all get assessed by themselves and by an advisor on a 3-point scale, or as we like to call it, it's more of a color-coded scale here. Green is our 3-point section that stands for demonstrating mastery. Yellow means mastery is in progress for that standard. And then the red or orange color there means you're not there yet. You need more evidence of your learning. So we just typed in an example for Science 9. If a student had attempted that standard for their game night project, they would simply put in, I worked on it for my game night project. I submitted my first attempt on this particular date, and I received a mastery in progress assessment at that point. All of those assessments are compiled and stored in the Learning Mastery Gradebook in Canvas.
Pretty soon you will have access to Canvas through a parent option. Currently working with Canvas and the district to make sure that that process is complete and will be fluid. But eventually you will get access to Canvas to see, just as a view only, see the different assignments and activities that your student is working on, but also probably more importantly to access the Learning Mastery Gradebook. This is a current gradebook of our current students. I've blocked off the student names so we can take a look. But as you'll see, what's the really cool thing is that through all the different projects, the Game Night Quarter project, various passion projects, various Flex 100 tasks, students are working on a variety of different power standards. What this does then is it kind of takes the mastery level averages and then assigns them a similar mastery scale to what we have. So as you can see, this student is working on Social Studies 5. They've attempted it multiple times through the Power Standard module, through some other work, and it's found their mastery average and that they're near mastery for Social Studies 5. And then you'll see other students who they've attempted it multiple times and they've shown that they meet or exceed mastery based on how many attempts they have and things like that.
And that kind of wraps up our power standard talk. The expectation by the end of 8th grade then, by the end of their 3 years in the Arctic zone, is that each student will have attempted at least 2 times every single one of these power standards. It seems like a lot maybe to talk through, but as you saw on that example one for our quarter 2 project coming up, there is potential for a dozen standards to be met with just that one project and even beyond. So we're excited about the diversity that this provides us in applying various standards to the same exact project, but in different ways for each student. So with that concludes our episode 2 of the What's Up With That?
What's Up With That?
Podcast.